Our minds are mysterious, intricate, and often unpredictable. What we think, feel, and perceive is shaped by a combination of biology, experience, and even things we're not consciously aware of. It's amazing to think that the thoughts and emotions we experience every day are the result of complex psychological processes we don't always notice. The following 20 psychological facts will open your eyes to the hidden workings of the human mind. Some facts that may surprise you, others that may make you think twice about how you interact with the world and the people around you. Ready to dive deeper into the psychological phenomena that influence our daily lives? 20. More fascinating psychological facts. 1. We're all naturally drawn to symmetry. Humans are hardwired to find symmetry aesthetically pleasing. From the way we perceive faces to the designs in art and architecture, symmetry tends to trigger feelings of balance and harmony in the brain. This explains why people are often drawn to symmetrical faces and why many cultures value symmetry in design. 2. You're more likely to help someone if they ask directly. People tend to help others more when they're asked directly, rather than when they're just expected to figure it out on their own. This is known as the bystander effect, and it shows that specific requests increase the likelihood of receiving assistance because it breaks down the social barriers of ambiguity. 3. The foot in the door technique works because of commitment. This psychological principle explains that once someone agrees to a small request, they're more likely to agree to a larger one later. The act of complying with a small request increases their sense of commitment, making them more likely to say yes to something bigger. We remember faces more than names. Faces are processed in a special area of the brain, and humans are inherently better at recognizing faces than remembering names. This is why we often forget someone's name, but can recall their face immediately. Facial recognition is instinctively easier for the brain to process. The halo effect influences our judgments. The halo effect occurs when our overall impression of someone, good or bad, influences how we perceive their other traits. For instance, if someone is attractive or friendly, we are more likely to assume they are also intelligent or kind, even without concrete evidence. 6. First impressions are lasting. Research shows that first impressions are often more accurate than we realize, and once formed, they are extremely difficult to change. The brain tends to lock in its first judgment, making it harder to alter it later, even when presented with contrary information. 7. Humans can detect subtle differences in facial expressions. Our brains are incredibly adept at recognizing facial expressions. Even subtle changes like a slight raise of an eyebrow or the curve of a mouth can communicate emotions like happiness, sadness, anger, or fear. This ability to interpret micro-expressions is essential for social interactions. 8. We tend to like people who mirror our behaviors. Mirroring is a subtle form of mimicry where we unconsciously imitate the posture, gestures, or tone of someone we like or admire. This often happens without our awareness, and it can build rapport and create a sense of connection between individuals. 9. Being in nature can improve your mental health. Exposure to nature has been shown to reduce stress, anxiety, and depression. Studies suggest that spending time outdoors, particularly in green spaces, can lower cortisol levels, enhance cognitive function, and boost overall emotional well-being. 10. Humans have an innate need to belong. The need to belong is a fundamental psychological drive that impacts everything from our relationships to our social behaviors. This desire for connection is so powerful that social rejection or isolation can lead to feelings of loneliness, sadness, and even physical pain, as the brain reacts to exclusion similarly to how it reacts to physical injury. 11. We're wired to avoid cognitive dissonance. Cognitive dissonance is the mental discomfort we feel when our beliefs and actions conflict. The brain seeks to reduce this discomfort by changing our beliefs or justifying our actions. This explains why people may rationalize bad decisions or hold on to beliefs even when presented with contradictory evidence. 12. When you hold a warm object, you're more likely to be kind. Studies have shown that holding something warm, like a cup of coffee, can make you more likely to behave warmly toward others. The psychological connection between warmth and kindness is deeply ingrained, and it can influence our social interactions in surprising ways. 13. We tend to overestimate the extent to which others notice us. Known as the spotlight effect, this cognitive bias causes people to believe they are being noticed by others far more than they actually are. We tend to overanalyze our own behaviors and appearance, assuming that everyone is paying attention to us, when in reality, most people are focused on themselves. 14. People who sleep less are more likely to make poor decisions. Sleep deprivation impacts decision-making, judgment, and cognitive function. When we don't get enough sleep, our ability to process information and think critically is impaired, which leads to more impulsive decisions and risky behaviors. 15. The more effort you put into something, the more likely you are to value it. This psychological principle is known as the effort justification effect. The harder we work to achieve something, the more likely we are to overestimate its value or worth. This explains why we tend to cherish things we've invested time, energy, or effort into, even if they're not objectively valuable. 16. People are more likely to act morally when observed. The presence of others, or even just the idea of being observed, tends to make people act more ethically. This is known as the audience effect, or social facilitation. People are more likely to follow social norms and behave morally when they feel they are being watched. 17. We tend to remember negative emotions more vividly. Negative emotions like fear, sadness, and anger often leave a stronger imprint on our memories than positive emotions. This is a survival mechanism. Our brains are wired to remember threats in order to avoid danger in the future. 18. Stereotypes can shape our reality. Stereotypes, whether positive or negative, influence the way we perceive people and situations. Our expectations based on these stereotypes can lead to self-fulfilling prophecies, where our actions unknowingly confirm the stereotypes we hold, even if they are inaccurate. 20. Humans are attracted to people who display confidence. Confidence is often perceived as a sign of competence, strength, and success. As a result, people are more likely to be drawn to individuals who carry themselves confidently, regardless of whether their confidence is warranted. This can affect everything from professional success to romantic attraction. As we continue to explore the psychology behind our thoughts, emotions, and actions, it's clear that our minds operate in ways we often take for granted. Every decision, every reaction, and every connection is influenced by a vast network of psychological forces that shape our experience of the world. Understanding these facts isn't just an intellectual exercise. It's a way to enhance our self-awareness, improve our relationships, and navigate life with greater insight. From the subtle power of body language to the immense impact of our subconscious, these psychological truths remind us just how extraordinary and mysterious the human mind truly is. With each fact, we unlock a new layer of understanding that can ultimately help us better understand ourselves and others. So, the next time you're faced with a situation or feeling, take a moment to consider what's happening in your mind. It could reveal a fascinating hidden truth about human behavior. Which psychological fact amazed you the most? Tell us in the comment section, and if you enjoy the video, then hit subscribe.